Venerable James of Zheleznoborov. April 11th. A nobleman forsakes his comfortable life to found a monastery in a wilderness known for its iron deposits, where his sanctity transforms violent robbers into disciples. A heads up in the spirit of transparency. Please be advised that this content may include ascetic extremes and threats of physical violence. Venerable James, born into the noble Anuchin family in the 14th century, felt from his youth a calling distinct from the path of worldly honor. He sought not the transient glories of his birthright, but the enduring grace of God manifesting in the monastic life. In secret, he departed his ancestral home, leaving behind the familiar comforts of his station. His journey led him to the renowned Trinity Monastery, a spiritual center of the Russian land, where he presented himself to the great Saint Sergius of Radonezh. Saint Sergius, discerning the purity of James's intention and the depth of his spiritual aspiration, received him into the brotherhood. Under the direct guidance of the hegumen of all Russia, James dedicated himself to the monastic rule, learning humility, obedience, and the discipline of prayer. He absorbed the spiritual wisdom imparted by his elder, preparing his soul for the struggles ahead. After a period of formation under the spiritual fatherhood of Saint Sergius, James's heart yearned for a deeper solitude. He sought a life of more profound asceticism, a complete withdrawal from the world to dedicate himself wholly to God. With the blessing of Saint Sergius, a blessing that carried the spiritual authority of his elder, James departed the Trinity Monastery. He journeyed northward, seeking a remote and untamed wilderness where he might engage in unceasing prayer and rigorous fasting without distraction. His search led him to the Galach region, to a dense, marshy forest known as Zheleznoborov, or iron pines. This name derived from the iron ore deposits found within its soil. In this secluded place, far from human habitation, St. James constructed a humble cell. Here, he began a life of intense spiritual labor, facing the challenges of the wilderness and the unseen battles against the passions. The remote forest, while offering spiritual quietude, was not entirely devoid of human presence. A band of robbers had made their lair within its depths. Upon discovering the solitary cell of St. James, they conceived a plan to kill him and seize any possessions he might have. They approached his dwelling with violent intent. However, as they drew near, they found the holy elder engaged in prayer, chanting psalms with a serene and fearless countenance. The sight of his unwavering composure, his quiet holiness amidst their violent thoughts, struck the hearts of the brigands. A profound change occurred within them. Their murderous intentions dissolved, replaced by a deep sense of remorse and conviction. The leader of the band, overwhelmed by the saint's spiritual presence, fell before him. He confessed his sins, expressing repentance for his past deeds and his present evil design. Moved by divine grace, the leader remained with St. James, becoming his disciple and commencing a new life of repentance and spiritual striving. News of St. James's holy life and the transformation of the robber leader spread, drawing others to the iron pines. Monks and laypeople, seeking spiritual guidance and a life dedicated to God, began to gather around the venerable elder. With the assistance of the local populace, who recognized the sanctity of the place and the man, a church was constructed. This church was dedicated to St. John the Forerunner, a fitting patron for a community established in the wilderness, preparing the way of the Lord. Thus, a monastery was formally established, and St. James, by common consent and divine providence, became its first abbot, or hegumen. He guided his spiritual children with wisdom, humility, and the example of his own ascetical life, fostering a community rooted in prayer, obedience, and brotherly love. For many years, St. James served as the spiritual father and guide of the monastery he founded. He continued his life of spiritual struggle, maintaining the strict asceticism that marked his early hermitage, even as he bore the responsibility of leading a community. He instructed his monks in the virtues of patience, humility, and unwavering faith. Having lived a long life filled with spiritual labors and having brought many souls to repentance and salvation, St. James reposed peacefully in the Lord. This blessed departure occurred on April 11, 1442. He was laid to rest within the monastery he had established, a testament to his enduring legacy. After his repose, the grace of God continued to manifest through him. Numerous miracles of healing were reported by those who approached his tomb with faith and offered their prayers. Through these manifestations of divine power, Saint James of Zheleznoborov was glorified as a saint, his memory honored by the Church, and his intercessions sought by the faithful.